Welcome to Mobile by May with Steve May, historic preservationist, realtor, and licensed renovator. Steve has restored over 18 homes, many which were in blighted areas and scheduled for demolition. So he has a respected reputation for helping to revitalize areas. He is also a licensed realtor and home builder in the state of Alabama and is well versed in construction and code, especially with historic homes. Steve and his family have been residents of the Old Dolphin Way Historic District for over 20 years. He is a realtor with Sam Winter and Company. Please look over the show description to read more about Steve's incredible background and his numerous awards. Welcome to Mobile by May. This is our third issue. I am Lisa Graves, lover of big old historic homes and big old oak trees. And you know Steve May. He is our preservationist guru. He is a real estate agent here in the Mobile area, especially in the historic homes. And also he's a licensed home builder here in this area. And we are excited about this episode. We have so much to talk about. Steve has gone around and he's got videos of the Oakleigh Historic District, which is one of the seven
designated historic districts
here, and of Washington Square, which would make Savannah green with envy, which is a beautiful old square in the Oakleigh Historic District with a fountain, and a group of people have gotten together there and redone it and done the greenery around it and decorated it for different holidays. So it's just a really cool area. And he's got lots of good videos of that. And he's also got some great news for Mobile that just happened this week. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about updating a kitchen and bath in an historic home. And we are sitting in Steve's kitchen right now, which I'm going to let him talk to us a little bit about behind us and what all is involved in renovating a historic home as far as the kitchen and the bath. But first, tell them the great news about Mobile.
So we had some huge news announcement this week on Riverview Plaza, which is going to be on the waterfront north of the convention center, and it is going to be a $100 million plus investment. It's a hotel, condos, offices, restaurants, bars, and really put a footprint on the waterfront to really open that up. So we've got the cruise terminal, a convention center, the Maritime Museum, and this current administration with the mayor is such a visionary for what we need for the city. And he's a big advocate for downtown. You can't have a great city without a great downtown. So there's been a lot of revitalization and investment in downtown, but this is really going to put downtown on the map. And so we're just thrilled with this announcement. This is going to be huge.
And it's from the press conference that I saw, it's going to be upwards of $100 million. It's going to be next to the convention center, which will be great because there are a lot of conventions that come here. And just so you know, most of the historic districts that we're going to talk about during our podcast are probably 10 minutes, if not less, from downtown. So this is great for these areas. The other thing that we're going to talk about that everybody likes to come to here is, guess what? In less than a month, Mardi Gras starts here. More than 40 parades.
Well, it's so neat because, along the Gulf Coast is a very different, it's very different than the rest of the part of the state. From Pensacola, Florida to Mobile, Alabama, Biloxi, Mississippi to New Orleans, the Gulf Coast region is very different from the rest of the state because it had such a heavy French influence. And the Mardi Gras, pre-Lenten carnival is it started 300 years ago here in 1703, and so there's about 40 different parades which we love. We're right off the parade route. They'll throw moon pies and beads and bands. It's just so much fun. We have over 1 million people a year to come to Mardi Gras here. It's really It's really like more family oriented.
It is. It is.
And so it's and there's certain designated areas that are non-alcoholic for children stuff, which is really cool. But it's just some really good, clean fun. And the floats are just majestic and so creative. And we just hear the music and run down the street and go catch moon pies and candy and all that kind of stuff. That's right.
And make sure you bring a wagon. No, I'm kidding. You don't have to have a wagon, but that's always good to load all your stuff in so you can go the parade route. In case you didn't know, Mardi Gras started in Mobile in 1703. That's pretty remarkable. And it has been running continuously except for a couple of wars, Civil War and World War II.
That's right. And actually it dates all the way back to Roman times. So it's it's thousands of years old, in Europe and stuff. And it was just brought here from the European, from the French.
Wow.
So, but it's a fun time. Looking forward to that.
And most of the parades are organized and given by these mystical organizations, right?
Yeah, there's different mystic societies. It's kind of like a secret, different members. They wear masks and they have balls, and and they have a queen and a king and a coronation. It's just a really just kind of carefree, fun way to celebrate and have fun before Lent is kind of the deal. So
that's cool.
We always love this time of year, and Fat Tuesday is kind of the culmination of everything with the biggest parades, and then you kind of get it all out of your system, and then you give something up for Lent for 40 days. That's how it's supposed to work.
One year I tried to give up judgment, which you don't realize how much you judge. I think I lasted like 3 hours, and I thought, oh, this is exhausting.
I'm out.
That's
all right.
One more tidbit about Mardi Gras. Civil War time, there was a gentleman called Joe Kane that declared that the Civil War was over. And so he marched around and started Mardi Gras again. And there's a house in Midtown that is his house. And in the deed of the house, it says that they have to entertain all the Joe Kane people every year. So there's this huge street party in front of his house that is really a lot of fun and one of my favorite things to go to. And it's very tongue-in-cheek. His widows show up and they declare how much they love Joe Kane.
The merry widows.
He loved them the most, and all this just silliness, but it's just fun and good humor. And that, to me, at least the party down in front of Joe Kane's is very child-friendly. I've seen a lot of kids down there, and that's always fun to see.
Well, what's interesting is, he dressed, and I always butcher the name, Chef Slaparacaminko or something. I can't pronounce the name.
Native American Indian, yeah.
But he's a Native American. He's a Choctaw Indian because they never surrendered. So it was kind of in defiance of the Union troops that were stationed here after the Civil War. So it was kind of a little bit. That was kind of where they were coming from with rebelling kind of against the occupation after the war. Actually, your street Montauk is named after the division from Montauk, New York, that encamped there after the Civil War. The federal troops camped on your street.
Those Union folks?
Yeah, Union folks. So that's where your name came from, Montauk.
Well, talk to us a little about Mobile's ecotourism. I know that it's considered the Amazon.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, and most people aren't aware of this. It has been designated as America's Amazon. It has the most biologically diverse nature and wildlife in America. And it's staggering. There's a phenomenal book by Ben Raines called America's Amazon who really brought attention to it. And we have more species of fish, turtles, salamanders, snails, crawfish than anywhere else. And actually we have, I think, 18 different types of turtles in the Mobile Delta where all the rivers come in. It's like a big estuary. We have more species of turtles in America than Amazon, than the Mekong Delta, than the Nile. And one of the reasons for that is the last ice age came about 4 hours north of us, 5 hours north in Huntsville. This part never froze. So it has so much diversity in its wildlife, and something we'll get into at some point. But we have more species of fish in one river than California has in the entire state.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's mind blowing the amount of and the beauty and the majesty of these beautiful old bayous and lagoons and types of fish and things up there. It's something we need to be proud of. And there's a lot of ecotourism where people come here. And the other thing is we have a huge migratory bird pattern that comes up across the Gulf of Mexico. They land on Dolphin Island, south of Mobile, and they come up through Mobile. So you'll see tropical, subtropical type birds, flying up through through Mobile, which is really neat. We have a lot of bird watchers.
And just so you know, Dolphin Island's less than 40 minutes from Midtown. So it's an easy drive to go down there. And my husband and I went to the Mobile Botanical Gardens last week. And I've been to some really nice botanical gardens. One of my favorites is the Dallas Botanical Garden. And I will tell you, this botanical garden here is amazing. And we went in the winter, so hardly anything was blooming. But it blew my mind. It was that good.
Well, and we also have the Festival of Flowers coming up, too, which is a really awesome thing under the Avenue of Oaks, which is a beautiful oak-lined alley. And they have these beautiful Festival of Flowers. One thing that I forgot to mention last time we were talking about all the different names for Mobile is we're also known as the Azalea City. And so in the third week of March, it's like a fairy tale. We have all these beautiful, different colored, vibrant azaleas, white, pink, purple. And that with the live oak trees with the new growth on it, it's just a beautiful, we'll definitely feature that and show you all some of the people come from all over to see these azaleas in bloom. It's gorgeous.
Well, not to drop off further into anything growing, but we do love it here. I forgot to tell you, I went to a Camellia Society meeting at the Drinkwater Mansion, and
Okay.
they auctioned off some of his camellias that he has grown that are very priceless and special,
Okay.
and then some other ones that they had donated. And it was really interesting. I felt way out of my league because I'm just kind of a weekend gardener. These people were really into
Master
it.
gardeners and
But,
crafting and stuff.
He has Cornerstone Gardens, which is right here on the corner of Hallett and Government. And if it's open, I think, Friday through Sunday during the day. It is spectacular if you get a chance to go see that. And it's open to the public and it's free during that time. Okay, so you have been riding around in a golf cart taking lots of great pictures of
I
the
have.
Oakleigh Historic District and Washington Square.
And so one of the things that we want to do with this podcast is really, feature different areas of the city, the different historic district. There's 7 designated historic districts, and really the one that gets the most love, and really probably deservedly so, is the Oakleigh Garden Historic District. It's off Government Street downtown. It's all kinds of 19th century beautiful mansions and the giant live oak trees. And at the heart of that is Washington Square, which is a gorgeous landscaped square with a fountain in the middle. They'll have
huge oak trees,
weddings, a lot of weddings there, and
senior portraits,
orchestras and plays, and they have all kinds of Christmas parties, and then also the Oakleigh Mansion, which was built in 1833. It's a T-shaped 2-story Greek Revival cottage, and it's really just a stunning example of Greek Revival architecture. It's a T-shape because it helps the air circulate throughout the house. And my house was actually designed based off the Oakleigh Mansion, so I have a certain. It's just a gorgeous setting, and we'll display that for you as well.
And did you know that Santa Claus made an appearance in Washington Square?
I did not.
Yes. Everybody brought their kids and dogs.
Okay.
And they even, I think, tailgated a bit from what I could observe. I brought my new Catahoula Hound dog, but she's still too puppyish to be.
That's right. She's a little wild child.
Yeah, to be expected to sit down with Santa Claus. But we observed from afar. It was really sweet. Everybody brought their grandkids and their kids, and Santa made an appearance, and several of them got to sit on his lap. So again, as I mentioned, we're sitting in Steve's kitchen. One of the questions we got was, you live in this beautiful old historic home, but talk to us about, the kitchens. Are they modernized? And I know, yes, they are, but I can understand why people would have that question.
Yeah.
But I've asked Steve to talk to us a little bit deeper. Are there things that he had to keep in mind and be mindful of? Because remember, he moved 2 houses and put them together and put them here. It is a very modern kitchen. So were there any things you had to be aware of or mindful of when you were
I think it's
and electricity and all that?
Yeah, so when you move a house, everything's new, right? Everything's upgraded and everything. And then we moved the 3 rooms in the front of the house, and we added on to the kitchen. And so I think it's so important to be aware of trying to make the kitchen flow with the rest of the house. And so it's Greek Revival, everything's white and big high ceilings and things. And so I want to have all the modern conveniences. Of course, we all have, refrigerator, stoves, dishwashers and things. But I wanted to have a lot of character in the kitchen that was period for the house. So it kind of tied in with everything. And as you see behind us, this is a cast iron banister from an old house. I salvage everything. Ironwork is one of my favorite things. To me, it's almost like musical. It's almost like melodies on the wall. It's just so inspirational. And one of the things that I love about upcycling a lot of these historic materials, it just makes it so nostalgic. It gives it so much character and charm, and all these things are handmade. And so to me, it just inspires me. You spend most of your time in your home. Why not have things around you that make you feel good, that make you remind you of things? Like I have a bookcase of all different things around the world we've traveled, and different mementos that remind me of when we were in Paris for a honeymoon, or, things like that. But I've always just loved this kind of like a Gothic design of this ironwork here. And actually the wall that it's hanging on is the original dining room ceiling to my house that we were unable to save because it was just in terrible condition. But I sanded it and put it on the wall. And my intention originally was to paint it. But once I saw the patina of all these different, I just love the age of it. Mm-hmm. So, you kind of find your own style and things that speak to you. And so a lot of times, like with a kitchen island, like with this island, I've taken 2 jib doors on either end.
Tell us what a jib door is.
A jib door is at the base of the windows, really old houses like 1830s or 40s. that allow you to walk out through the windows. The doors at the base of the window that you open and you lift the windows up and walk out.
Okay. I don't know if I've seen that before.
But those are on the ends of this island. Those are jib doors. And then I've got, this is a panel door. I just laid it on its side because it's already like paneling. So I try to, repurpose different things, just like the tile I have over my stove came out of the museum. It was the original floor to the Southern Market. And I just love the kind of the history of that. And even the ceiling in here was from a house that was demolished. It used the shiplap. So there's just lots of different ways that you can, by saving old material, sometimes you can figure out creative ways to repurpose it back into the house, make the house kind of come to life and, live where you imagine. It's just so much fun to, every time I just walk around, I see different things. It reminds me of different.
That's what you were saying, that when you salvage something or you preserve something, he said, it always reminds me of where I was when I found it, or what I was doing, or who I was with. And I think that's neat. It's
just creative. It's just a lot of fun. And it's something that lasts. And you remember all the hard work that you did, where you found it. Like I have a door behind me I found on the side of the road. It was an 1830s federal door. It was, they didn't know what they had. And so anyway, I had to restore it and use that. So.
Did you have to, I'm assuming that you didn't go to classes to learn all this knowledge. You just got interested in it and self-taught yourself?
Well, it's probably it needs to be diagnosed with some type of disease because I'm always finding things. My real thing are doors and mantles and bricks and ironwork. And between those things, there's so many different ways that you can use it.
So do you just Google something when you find it and try to figure out what it is? Or how do you discern what it is? Or have you just been doing it long enough that you know?
I've been doing it so long. And then I'll just think about, sometimes you'll have kind of epiphanies and breakthroughs on, where can I use this mantle? Oh, I'm going to use this mantle and put that over the stove and then use some old mobile tile on the inside of it and kind of showcase the history, but also have a modern stove. I'm going to do that on this next house we're going to show on North Dearborn downtown. It's just, the sky's the limit, right? There's so many different ways that you can reuse things. So I just don't like to throw anything away if I can salvage it.
And didn't you were telling me, speaking of that you have a house, I think you said it was a shotgun up the street that you did something really unusual with a mantle in the kitchen?
Yeah. Actually, there was a house that burned down about 15 years ago. And it was about 20 years ago. And that was the impetus for me starting to save stuff because he was going to tear it down. I took all the bricks. I took the windows out of it. Well, I took the mantle out and I ended up using that mantle in my little shotgun house as the front on the kitchen island.
Yeah, I would have never thought to do that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I took some trim work and made that in the doors. And so, once it just kind of takes over, right?
Was the mantle wooden or was it marble?
Yeah, it's a wooden mantle.
So cool.
And then I didn't have any kitchen cabinets at the little shotgun up the street. So we had a bunch of extra doors that were damaged and I couldn't use them. So I ended up cutting the panels out and made kitchen doors out of the paneling. So there's lots of different ways with the material. Even if the top part of the door is messed up, you can cut it off. You could use that as the end of an island. You could use it sometimes for wainscoting. You could take these panel doors, lay them horizontally around a room, and you have wainscoting without having to build it.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's different things. The salvage shop that we have is, which is also with Restore Mobile, which is a part of this organization. We help to save blighted properties. We have a salvage shop and bunch of materials and things, and there's kind of like a laboratory of things you just never know what you can do with it. So it's just kind of fun to.
So let's just say one of our viewers or listeners has something salvaged from Mobile. I guess you could direct them on who could help them put it wherever, or how would that work?
Well, we get a lot of donations too of people that are getting rid of things. And so we oftentimes will pick up, different things people are getting rid of. And then, sometimes I do some consulting on the side and help people with maybe some design, architectural design, things like that. I just, this old handmade material, everything nowadays is prefab and thrown up so quickly. I just love the handmade stuff because it just took so much time. And I think about the people that created it and the material and it just has almost an old soul to it. So I love to use the old material as much as humanly possible. Shutters, you look around the room, I've just got everything in here is basically my entire house and almost everything in it should be in a land, what am I trying to say? Thank you. A landfill, because the house was going to be demolished. The workshop I'm building in the back, I'm building out of an 1830s house that was demolished. All the salvage in the house was, secondhand. So all the antiques were used, so I just really enjoy, it's just very satisfying to save it and then use it, make something beautiful out of it.
So is there anything you need to keep in mind when you're restoring a kitchen or a bath? I think you addressed it earlier, but I mean, you would just work with a normal electrician, a normal plumber, and say, okay, that's what I want to do, and they would do it.
Yeah. It's just, I would say, make sure you get all the trades and get your design set up first, right? So you can get everything wired correctly. What you don't want to do is get all your sheetrock and everything up, and then, we want to put a light over there. You got to run a wire. So you want to do all that before you start putting the wooden walls or the sheetrock up or the drywall. You want to have a really good cohesive plan with all your good measurements and everything, so that once you do it once, you don't have to go back and redo it. And
you don't necessarily, I'm just asking, you don't necessarily have to work with a plumber who deals only in historic homes. You could work with anybody.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just didn't know how that works.
That's correct.
And other than the house you just mentioned, the shotgun with the mantle, are there any other really unusual kitchens and baths you've done? Because you've redone 17 homes now, and you're getting ready to go on 18.
Yeah, I've done a combination of so many different things with floating shelves. The trends have changed over the last 20 years too. So, the colors have changed. Everything's white now or gray. And so I think with the kitchens and bathrooms, every 15 or 20 years, you kind of have to update. Because, when it first came out, everybody loved Ubatuba granite, and now nobody wants that now. So there's always a new trend kind of coming around. But I just try to use a lot of natural stone, natural materials, marble, granite, different things like that kind of jive with the house, because you just want it to seem like it's always been like that. It seem kind of seamless. Because I have people come to the house before and say, well, I thought this was the new part, and I was like, but it looks old. And I was like, well, great. That's what I was trying to accomplish. Even the windows are repurposed.
Right. This looks great. Tell everybody, he has an incredible listing on 200 South Georgia. I want you to tell them about.
Yeah, it's a beautiful home in Oakleigh Historic District, probably the signature street on South Georgia. It's 200 South Georgia. It's a Victorian, built turn of the century. It's 5-bedroom, 3 baths, and it has a large pool in the back too. Really? It's got high ceilings. Of course, the location you just can't beat. That's a wonderful street. Most of those homes were built like right at turn of the century, and they're just one right after the other for several blocks. So it's a beautiful area. And people are moving down here because you're close to everything. We're walking distance to downtown, to all the bars, all the restaurants, shopping. You've got grocery stores, pharmacies. You've got Mardi Gras. You've got the parade route. You've got just a lot of young couples with their baby strollers and biking. And so it's just very walkable and beautiful. And people just walk around and just marvel at the beautiful old live oak trees and their gnarly twisted limbs and the Spanish moss and it changes seasonally.
Resurrection fern.
Yeah, the resurrection fern, which is a fern. If y'all have ever noticed on an oak tree, it almost looks like hair on the. It's just weird. And then all of a sudden it'll rain and it turns green.
Green.
So they call it resurrection fern, because after it rains, within a few hours, it all comes back and it's green, and the limbs are totally covered with this fern,
right,
which is really beautiful. But if we go through a drought for a couple weeks or more, they all kind of die back to preserve their moisture. So yeah, it's beautiful. And Spanish moss, which is kind of cool because it's not Spanish, and technically it's actually not a moss, but the Indians thought that the Spanish moss looked like the Spaniards' beards. And so isn't it interesting how this goes generationally?
I know.
People don't really understand why. Why do we call it that? But that's kind of why.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. And now with that new development coming that you were talking about earlier, right there by the convention center, is Riverwalk?
Yeah, Riverwalk Plaza.
Riverwalk Plaza. That is just going to be so huge for us. That was a big, big deal. And I was so impressed listening to the press conference about how it seemed to be a team effort on the group of our leaders, and to give everybody else the credit but themselves. And I really appreciate that. And that's good leadership to me.
Well, we're extremely blessed to have a mayor like Sandy Stimson, who's just been a visionary for us. Mike Dow was another phenomenal mayor we had years ago who created the String of Pearls. And as somebody mentioned in one of their social media posts this week, this is like the diamond in the String of Pearls, because this development on the waterfront is really going to help. Yeah, what'll happen is at the foot of Government Street, you'll see a 1,000-foot tanker go right in front of you. You don't even realize the river is that close.
Yeah.
to you, and there'll be a restaurant, a rooftop bar up there as well.
Right.
So I've always thought that'd be so cool to sit up there, like the Maritime Museum, and watch the cruise ship come in, which we got a brand new cruise ship,
Carnival cruise ship,
which is a really big one, and it's brand new. So that, along with this development, is really helping to drive everything to the waterfront, and then all the investment is following that all the way up Dauphin and Government, St. Louis streets into our.
So I'm not familiar with the string of pearls. Tell me what that means.
It was just a vision that a mayor had like 30 years ago that we had to, first of all, we had to save and preserve some of these historic buildings. One of them is that GM&O Spanish Revival old train depot. You ever seen that on Water Street? It's beautiful Spanish design. And so he was trying to save all those because it was downtown. 20 some years ago, there were 5 restaurants. Now we have 57 downtown. So he saw what we needed to do to save these jewels, these pearls, and then start building around those. And now we're to the point where we've got most of the blighted, abandoned properties are already restored. There's still some left, but nothing like what it was. But now we've got huge development coming in, just like over there at the Civic Center. There's a lot of development with the Corps of Engineers building office buildings, and of course the Bayway is going to finally be something that's going to happen. They're starting to work on that, a giant span bridge over Mobile Bay, because everybody that drives through Mobile going to the beaches in Florida or in Orange Beach knows how bad the traffic is. So this is going to alleviate that traffic and be a beautiful addition to our skyline here in the city.
Just so everybody knows, Pensacola beaches are only an hour away. So it's really nice. Dolphin Island's maybe 30, 40 minutes. Yeah. But if you really want the white sand, you go to Pensacola. So it's
Orange Beach and Gulf Shores have white sand beaches too.
Okay, there you go. And we also have, I think it's called the Admiral. It's going to be the really nice high-end boutique hotel that's opening up next year.
Yeah, they're restoring that hotel.
That is supposed to be extraordinary. I had a friend of mine that went and toured it recently. It's not open yet, but they said that's going to be a game changer down here.
We have some, really for a city our size, we have some really, really high-end hotels. The Battle House is our signature
with a great
hotel.
Spa, if ladies and gentlemen want spa.
Oh, man, it's got a beautiful rotunda. It's a historic hotel with a beautiful lobby. And then the Renaissance Hotel. So, we have the Senior Bowl here.
Tell everybody what that is now.
The Senior Bowls are all the senior college football players that are, most of which will end up turning pro or invited to play in this game in January. And so they all come to Mobile. And it's so neat because we have so many NFL scouts and head coaches. And you'll walk down Dauphin Street and see Jerry Jones of the Cowboys. What are these people? All these NFL talent evaluators come here mainly for the practice. A lot of them leave for the game, but that's just another really neat thing that we have.
Is that always come to Mobile or just?
It's been here for like 60 years or something. I don't think they wanted it to get too big. So they wanted it kind of in a smaller setting like Mobile where it didn't get lost in like Atlanta or something. It's a really big deal for our city here.
Yeah. Any final thoughts for everybody? We've talked about a lot today.
Yeah, I just I want to continue to just share with everyone. I think we have such an enchanted city. It's so beautiful and historic and old. And there's different areas of the city. And my focus, I live in the historic districts, and I just like to, each time we're going to try to feature different districts because they all have a little bit different look to them. They're different ages, and so they're different architectural styles. And I just want to kind of give people, there's a lot of people maybe watching this may not be from this area. I just want to kind of explain the culture of Alabama on the Gulf Coast and how it's different than the rest of the state, what makes us unique, and all these different influences with the parks. Because, we have British Park, we have Spanish Plaza, we have Mardi Gras Park, we have Washington Square, Bienville Square, Cathedral Square. So we've got all these beautiful kind of public open green spaces with beautiful live oak trees and places where people can gather and just a really fun place to live. So we just love living here and love talking about it and sharing it with people.
We both do. We love questions, so feel free to text them to 601-955-3490, or you can email them to smay@samwinter.com. Steve has lots of great videos on his Instagram account, _Steve_May, of all the work he's done over the years, and you will just be so inspired. So I definitely encourage you to do that. And also, he has his YouTube channel. So I would encourage you to subscribe to it. That way you'll get every one of the episodes. And please share with your friends and family. We would really appreciate that. Until we see you for the next episode, we sure appreciate your time. And I sure enjoy doing this with Steve.
I do too. It's so much fun. Thank y'all for joining us.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Mobile by May. Please make sure to leave us a review on the podcast platform. Share with your friends on social media. We love questions, so feel free to text us at 601-955-3490 or smay@samwinter.com. You can also follow Steve May on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.